All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Capanova event. For those who just joined us, please mute yourself. Thank you. And before we introduce our speaker tonight, I just want to take 1 minute real quick, introduce Capanova. Capanova stands for Chinese American Parents Association of Northern Virginia, 中文是北威华裔家长协会. We founded back in 2021, and over the past 4 years, we have delivered more than 1,000 different events, seminars, book club meetings, speaker series. So I am proud to say Capanova is perhaps one of the most active community group in the local area. And for our program, this is going to be very much similar to last year. And one major the speaker series is for the financial literacy. And tonight is actually our first session this year for the financial literacy seminar. And Coach Mike, as everybody already know, he is perhaps one of our best speaker in the local area, and he has brought a very famous speaker and also very famous entrepreneur in the DC area, and Henry Yoshida, and he is going to give us the talk on how to buy crypto currencies in the self-directed IRA and also in 401K. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to give the stage to Coach Mike, and he is going to lead the conversation tonight. All right, stage is yours, Coach Mike.
All right, thank you, family and friends. We are helping working class families to build wealth in a tax efficient way. I have known Henry for years, and also I used the Rocket Dollar platform, invest alternative assets, use my own self-directed IRA and 401K. So I tell the truth, I bought a crypto back in 2018, the 40,000 now is 100,000 even today. So that's why the model works. Rocket Dollar probably is one of the top 5 self-directed IRA, 401K custodians in the market. I interviewed many of them, but I picked Rocket Dollar. I know no regret because the service is good. Christopher is very good. Thank you, Henry. And Henry has a very distinguished career path, including Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, and also he's an entrepreneur. He created multiple fintech companies, including Retire.com and Rocket Dollars. So as a certified financial planner, we're in the same category. I found that Henry has a very strong combination of financial products and small business entrepreneurship. I think that's very rare for our professionals have this. You set a really good model for our next generation, given the AI. People need to be creative, be compassionate. And education-wise, Henry has an MBA from Cornell and an undergrad at UT Austin. So definitely a typical Asian American success story. With that, Henry, it's all yours. Thank you.
Right. And, to even add to that, I'm not Chinese American, so I'm of Japanese descent, but I'm that.
Close enough.
Yeah, my brother and I, our parents came to America and only worked in the restaurant industry, so no college, so that's kind of the story usually for the first generation, and then after that they kind of get driven to different ways from an educational standpoint. So that's me. I did a lot of homework in a Japanese restaurant as a middle school and high school student. So.
Just like many of us.
Yeah, so I can definitely relate, and because of it, I think it led me to develop the product that Mike had asked me to come here to talk about today, which is essentially putting alternative investments in an IRA. And I just pulled these up from a couple because I give a lot of presentations all over the place, but I just wanted to kind of show here that this is an example of what I was talking about with Mike, which is that and I'll just leave it here if it's big enough for everyone to see.
But yeah.
Actually, I'll just do it this way. Let's see. Yeah, so you could see it here. So the company Rocket Dollar, we're a part of a larger organization, and our domain name is actually retired.com. So the only thing that our company does across the two brands that we have that are consumer facing, Rocket Dollar is one of them. And I'll talk a little bit because Mike had specifically asked me to talk about crypto. So there's probably an easier way. Our sister company is actually called Bitcoin IRA, but we operate under this company called retired.com, and we only do retirement accounts. So that's our domain name. We only do tax advantage retirement accounts. And, our goal is essentially to help everyone get to that destination. Because I think the weird thing in America is that no matter who you are, that's actually the end goal. Like you may continue to work and earn money, but you may end up in retirement. And the reason for the types of IRA accounts that we do, and I just want to give this overview so everyone here knows, knowing about IRAs is nothing special. I think that in particular, Asian American families come they work hard and they think about the future. They think about supporting their families. So IRAs are actually a very large component of the U.S. financial services system. It's a U.S. based product. There's actually $14 trillion that sit in IRA accounts now. Oddly enough, so depending on the age range of people in this webinar tonight, it was created in 1974. So it's really right at being a 50-year-old person today. And so oddly enough, IRAs are 50 years old. And what I came up with the idea, and I'm not the person that created it, but I did want to build an easier, more digital product to be able to deliver this, was the ability for people to do private and alternative investment, because the vast majority, so 98 to 99% of all of the $14 trillion currently in IRAs in America are actually only invested in publicly traded stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So, Mike and our customers at Rocket Dollar are among the 1% of assets that have money in something from the private space. So that an example here, I would just show this. Oh, it's not that one. But okay, that's in my other presentation. I'm going to hop over to that one to give the mechanics of the IRA in a second. But that's essentially where we sit. So we sit at this intersection of alternative investments as well as just IRAs, which is a big, big market. And effectively, this is actually how all the smart money, that's what people call like institutions, billionaires, hedge funds, Wall Street types, that's how they've invested all along. So this particular chart is just to show you that the average individual person only has any maybe up to 5% on average, and most people have zero invested in alternative investments. But as you look down, the smart money, so professional retirement investors, the Yale Endowment Fund, which is just kind of the model for maybe like one of the best performing private institutional endowment funds. It just happens to be Yale. The person who actually ran it for 25 years passed away a few years ago. His name is David Swenson, but he's in sort of academic circles, he's kind of like the Warren Buffett of professional institutional investors. So Warren Buffett's known by the general public. Swenson would be like maybe top of the game. And as you can see, they had a very large percentage allocated to alternative investment. So let me just kind of switch from this sharing here. And I did want to find out oh yeah, sorry about that. I know I blocked some of the text, so it's not like a super text heavy presentation. I didn't want to like rely on a slide either, but I did kind of want to find out if people like I know some people are on a phone, but just have a sense of. I'm assuming that if I were to ask the question of who has an IRA, that's going to be a lot of people. But other than like Mike, he's not allowed to answer. I just wanted to see if how many people actually have what's called a self-directed IRA, so alternative investments in an IRA. That will help me determine how sort of granular I get in talking about our particular product, and in particular, maybe the ability to buy cryptocurrency or real estate using an IRA. So they could just hit like a reaction or anything like that, or just a chat thing, so I know if someone else has one other than Mike. It's in the audience.
Yeah, so for those, if you have self-directed IRA, can you just key in one in the chat box?
Oh yeah, that's probably a better way to do it.
We only have one person who has that.
That's okay.
All right.
That's fine too. So.
Yeah, so Harry, probably, we have a little more, roughly about 1% right now in our community.
And
Oh,
look,
there's a
that's exactly the same as it would be, in the general public too. So don't worry about that. So
okay.
I mentioned earlier. So let me kind of get a little bit granular and talk about what Mike had asked me about, and then leave the floor open for sort of how we do it and why we do what we do. So what I wanted to make the case with a couple of those slides from the retired.com side was just to show that essentially we I have this belief, and this is what Mike had talked about in the introduction to this, that if you invest like everyone else, which is just regular stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and in today's world, a large part of even the largest 500 publicly traded companies, almost 35% of it's made up of the top seven now. So the Magnificent Seven that you know about. So everything from um, Microsoft and Nvidia to Tesla and Meta platforms at number 6 and 7. But if you had the capability using these great tax advantage vehicles to invest in things that maybe have chances for real, I guess, outsized returns. So alternative investments, private investments, like things that real estate, cryptocurrency, investing in a private company as a pre-IPO entity, using an IRA account, then you have a chance to really like get to that destination and diversify your holdings beyond the public stock markets. That's still a big component. The CFP part of me still says that that's important, but that's actually what we stand for. So I talked earlier about the ERISA was created in 1974, so IRAs have been there. So what is a self-directed IRA and what does that mean? So the ability to invest in assets outside of the New York Stock Exchange. You can access alternatives that move differently than the stock market. So this is getting to sort of your non-correlated assets. And as long as the investment is legally named in the IRA, you retain the tax benefit. So the next question obviously becomes, okay, I get that you Rocket Dollar and your organization allow people to invest in things that aren't stocks, bonds, and mutual funds in your IRA, but is that allowed? So this rule in 1974 actually never listed all the items that you can invest in using your IRA because it was too expansive. The only things it actually listed were a couple of items that you can't invest in an IRA, which means that everything else is allowable for you to invest in. The reason why 99% of people don't have any of these investments is because the companies that were created around this product, so think your Fidelities, Vanguards, Merrill Lynch's, Charles Schwab's, LPL, Raymond James, UBS, Morgan Stanley, everyone in the financial services space, they were in the business of packaging products around public securities. So it kind of led to this belief incorrectly in America that you could only own stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But the original rule in 1974 actually never said that. You had always had the ability to own things like real estate, private equity, invest in venture capital, crypto, which obviously didn't exist in 1974, but farmland, energy investments, private lending, and so forth, as long as it was allowed by the IRS. So again, real quickly, the things that you aren't allowed to invest in an IRA are actually only life insurance policies. You can't put a life insurance policy in an IRA, and you can't invest in collectibles. So think like paintings or like antique plateware, for example. Something like that can't be invested in an IRA. So um, that was the poll question that I had. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that, why use an IRA, and Mike has probably given a lot of sessions talking about this too. It's because it has better tax advantages. So what I tell people is that, look, for the same amount of money that you would put in any investment, whether inside of an IRA or outside of an IRA, you're automatically going to make, depending on your tax bracket and where you live in the United States, somewhere between a 15% to a 40% better return. I guess if you live in California, it might even be closer to, even the mid 40s if you're in the highest tax bracket plus state income taxes there. So you get the point. So dollar for dollar, the same investment is better held in an IRA investment vehicle. And so if you're exploring the private and alternative markets, you can actually make that in a better return. So in Mike's case, his $40,000 cost basis in Bitcoin going up to 100, and you said 100, but actually almost touched 109,500 2 days ago. So just to give a point. But anyway, the idea is, how do you fund these? Well, there's $14 trillion in these accounts right now. So really anybody can roll an old employer 401k or a like kind account to a 401k. So I recognize that Mike, for example, is a government employee. So yeah, that could be an old 457, an old TSP plan. It could be a 403b if you happen to work for a school system, a hospital, or a church, you might have that. Those are all variations on a 401k type account. And if it's from a past employer, that can be used to fund an IRA, or an existing IRA can be turned into an IRA at another institution like Rocket Dollar, and then allow you the capability to do um, cryptocurrencies or real estate and so forth. So really flexible. And it's kind of funny, Mike, before doing this, since I knew I'd be on my computer late, I was actually doing my continuing education for my certified financial planner, and I was refreshing myself. So the 10-hour course I'm taking is actually on IRAs right now. So right now would be a really good time to ask me like a super advanced question on an IRA if someone has one, since everything's fresh in my head. But um, I'm not going to talk too much about the solo 401k, Mike, and I want to go back here to the stop sharing just so people know. I want to be able to kind of talk, and maybe, Mike, you're the expert on this. You've been a customer for a while, and I guess I thought about that. You had specifically made the title of how to invest in Bitcoin using an IRA and so forth. So I didn't know if you wanted me to concentrate on that. Um,
Yeah, I've been coaching people tax planning. Some people doing real estate, some people doing, for instance, private loans, private credits. It's all good, but
okay.
challenge for working classes, a lot of private credits is only tailored to super high net worth. It's closed out to us, right? Our AGI doesn't even that level, so
Mhm.
that's why my main clients are real estate and crypto just new because the administration policy change. I'm not a big fan for buying real estate in the self-directed IRA because it's already have tax savings, tax benefits, 1031 exchanges. So I kind of oppose real estate in the IRA account, but that's a personal view. But just you can answer all the questions from the audience here. My point is there are so many different cryptos. People are totally clueless. There are so many, right? Even
Yeah.
Trump put out another meme. I don't know what's another thing, meme coin. I don't
Yeah.
know.
A Trump coin just
Oh,
came
Trump
out.
coin. People get
Yeah.
lost. There's so many frauds. I don't want to, right, buy one and regret later. So can you give some advice from that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think so let's talk first about maybe the way you buy crypto, okay? Um, I kind of liken it to crypto is very similar to the stock market, where if you're going to become a new investor in this, now the stock, uh, uh, now the
Sorry.
stock market is a place where we're not new investors to it. That's why we're on this webinar now. But at one point in the past, and maybe your children or your nieces, nephews, they're new to it, right? So it's unknown to them, maybe the way that crypto is to you right now as we sit here tonight on Tuesday, January 21st of 2025. So if you just think back and analogize, I talk well in analogies. If you're going to go into this crypto market right now, you do it the same way that you would do the stock market, the way you're doing it right now, which is you would concentrate on the biggest, most well-known names. So I wouldn't actually worry so much about a random coin that someone, a friend of a friend of a friend, tells you about or that you find out on social media. I'd probably stick to what are the largest currencies inside of that. So the main ones in cryptocurrency, obviously, number one by a long shot is Bitcoin. Number two is Ethereum. Number three is Solana. So after those three, and maybe XRP at four, there's a big drop off. So if you're going to dabble into this space right now, you should stick to those four. And yes, you've heard a lot of news about, Mike, you mentioned this, so I'll talk about it now, this Trump coin, but it was only created just like a few weeks ago, and it went up to from zero to something like $10 billion in the course of like a week, and so forth. But who knows? I mean, if you were to buy it now, I don't know if that's such a good idea because someone else has already made the money off of you. I mean, um, we don't have any customers that are in it because it only got listed on Coinbase's exchange today. But I did talk to a friend of mine who's a big crypto hedge fund person here in Austin. He was actually at the inauguration in DC, so I guess he must be a big donor as well because I saw pictures of him and his wife in a tuxedo at the inauguration last night. But he said that he knew someone that had made like paper gains of $100 million in 3 days on that coin. So again, sounds great, but it's no different than us reading about someone who won the lottery. So if you're going to stick with it, maybe stick with those large currencies. And for us, Mike, I don't know if you've ever explored it, but our sister company, Bitcoin IRA, is actually the easiest way for someone to adhere to that title. You titled this presentation, How Do You Buy Bitcoin in Your IRA? Well, the easiest way is to probably use our platform at Bitcoin IRA. And that's an online sign up. So no different than if any of us were going to open a new account at Fidelity right now. And then you can, as I showed in the slide earlier, you might have an IRA account at Charles Schwab. And to initially put money into your new Bitcoin IRA account, you would tell Schwab to transfer $25,000 of your Schwab account, your Schwab IRA, has to be the same account type, into the Bitcoin IRA one. And then the Bitcoin IRA is an Android and iOS app. So we have 66 coins listed on there right now. Obviously, the same thing. We have the most trade volume in Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then Solana, number 1, 2, and 3. And we just basically charge like a transaction fee for buying in and out of the crypto. But since it's in an IRA, there's no capital gains. So you could, we as crazy as it sounds, we have people buying in and selling out like within every week. I mean, I don't know if I recommend that as like a long-term type of play. There's someone else that's not on mute now too, by the way, with background noise. I hear their kitchen in the background. But anyway, just that's a thought. And I did actually queue that up, and I know I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit, but I queued it up for people to see here. So let me show this one real quick. So this is what I was talking about, Mike. So if you can see it, I don't know where my head is in the thing. The Bitcoin IRA is in the bottom left to me. But that's our sister company. So it is Bitcoin IRA, and it does have 66 coins, and it's all contained within there. So I actually literally just bought some more Bitcoin today in my Bitcoin IRA account on my phone while walking outside. So before sitting down for this, I was doing some continuing ed. I also decided to take a walk around the block too. So it's, I don't know where everyone else is, but I'm in Austin, Texas, and it's cold for me, but cold is only 40 degrees. So that may be very different for someone in Northern Virginia. Uh, and so this is what I wanted to show was just the Bitcoin IRA is helping Americans retire with crypto. So as I mentioned, we've already done $4 billion of trade volume. We have 200,000 users on the platform with over 4,000 reviews. You go to bitcoinira.com, or you can search for it in the App Store or Google Play. And you open an account like you open any IRA. And then to fund it, you can either fund it with the amount that you can put in cash. For this year, it's $7,000. And this is actually more Mike's realm as an enrolled agent and more of a tax pro than me. I'm an investment pro. I would say he's more of like a tax pro and investment pro. But you could do either $7,000 in a cash contribution. If you're over the age of 50, you can add $1,000 to that for $8,000. But most people actually usually just open an account and they would transfer, like I mentioned earlier, the example of transferring some existing IRA money from another account into this new one. And then you could do it on the desktop, or you can do it through the app. Again, I just bought some more Bitcoin myself. It's a program trade, so it wasn't a lot. So I bought another $500 of Bitcoin. I just do that like every month when I see it tick back down. So and this is existing cash that's in the account. But we're the company that actually created in 2016 the first cryptocurrency only trading one. So Mike, I know you do a different one because you're using our solo 401k product, which requires you to go to the Rocket Dollar side. But for someone to get up and do it as easy as possible, this might be the way right now. And there's no account minimums per se, so you could open the account with $5,000 or $25,000. And again, ride this. We don't have Trump coin listed right now. It's not one of the 66, but so just for full disclosure, if you were trying to jump on that bandwagon, but we do have all the ones that you probably heard about from younger relatives and younger people, like the Dogecoin and stuff like that, are all available and so forth. So
I know,
actually,
sure. People asked
yeah.
a few questions. Just give the audience the background. I signed up Rocket Dollar buying crypto using Craig, and my monthly fee is $15. I know I'm at a lower tier. There are different Plantium, different levels. But my question is, for the self-directed crypto IRA account you offer, what kind of fee structure? Do you based on AUM or based on the monthly fee? Can you explain to the customers?
Yeah, I see it now in the chat though too, so I'll answer those and let me. The fees on the platform, and they're pretty well delineated on the website, but essentially there's just a transaction fee. So they call it like a maker taker fee. We don't have an assets under management fee, but if you were to buy crypto, so it's a fee that ranges from 1 to 2% per transaction. So that's another reason why you probably want to be pretty active in terms of like buying it on dips for whatever coin you want to do. The platform currently, and this is actually more general with IRAs, so I should let people know. Someone asked if there was option trading available, that options are pretty limited in an IRA account. So the government gives us this great tax benefit, which is that we can defer all the gains. There's no capital gains, and we can defer any of the gains on an account for decades in an IRA. But we could defer the account for decades in an IRA. Let me go back to this so I can be seen better and I can see the chat better. But the inside of IRAs, and this isn't specific to the Bitcoin IRA platform, this is at Schwab or anywhere, there's very limited options capability. So the reason why is that you're technically not allowed to use any leverage, which a lot of option strategies require that. So even in an IRA at a Charles Schwab or Fidelity, the only options you could do would be to buy calls or sell calls against a position you already know. So that would be titled covered calls. We don't have that currently on the Bitcoin IRA platform, but that's actually a product initiative that we have for 2025, which is to enable options, call options on Bitcoin. So we've been working with a provider. It's obviously governed by a little different entity since it's crypto versus who regulates options in the public stock market space. So the answer, I guess, more simply is no, but we're working on it. But it will be with the limitation of what options are allowed in IRAs, which is very limited compared to probably what you can do on your brokerage account. Okay. Let's see. Fidelity. Well, so the Bitcoin IRA and Fidelity. So remember, Fidelity's crypto platform, a little bit different. So it's mostly concentrated. Fidelity Crypto has a lower fee structure. We kind of get that, but our goal is to continue to have more coins and just be a little bit more outpacing them from an innovation standpoint and speed. But crypto is a major initiative for a large organization like Fidelity, but it's largely concentrated on around Bitcoin. So I would say if you're going to get a little more hardcore into crypto, you might use us. If you're only interested in a Bitcoin ETF, you actually might be able to pay less in fees at Fidelity. That helps.
Just add on Henry's point, my son opened his crypto account with Fidelity because Fidelity digital website offer the brokerage account, meaning the traditional using the cash. I asked the customer service at Fidelity, they do not offer retirement account crypto, meaning 401K and IRA cannot do that. They still not offered yet. So that's why if you use one's 401K tax deferred accounts, I think probably Henry's platform is better because the major three, Vanguard, I don't think Vanguard has anything yet, right? Schwab?
No,
nothing.
Vanguard doesn't want to do crypto, so they don't want to do crypto at all.
At all? Okay.
Yeah. Vanguard is very averse to it, so
Gotcha.
they're making a bet. They made a very proactive effort for no crypto, and they don't want to even like allow people to buy the ETFs that exist, the BlackRock one, obviously they don't want to offer the Fidelity Bitcoin ETFs, but Vanguard's the most. And I think the question I saw in there, so Roth IRA, yes, I'm concentrating on the traditional, but we offer all flavors of an IRA. So inherited, SEP, Roth IRA, we obviously have a lot of Roth IRAs, but yeah, when I say IRAs, I'm kind of referring to all IRA types. So let's see. Okay, so the benefit of staying with the ETF. So that's a personal preference. So it's the same thing. Some people might choose to buy a packaged product in the public stock space in the form of an ETF. Some people want to trade in and out of those individual stocks. So I would say it's not necessarily an advantage. It's more of a personal preference. Some people want to own the coin directly. They don't want to own a vehicle that's tracking that particular Bitcoin. In this case, if that helps. So it's a personal preference. And um, because of what I do, I guess Mike is right. So I spent a long time in financial services. So Merrill Lynch. I only went to Goldman Sachs by virtue of a company that I started that was acquired by Goldman Sachs. So so I didn't really work there. Um, but but the entrepreneurial side of me and the being the CEO and face of Rocket Dollar and also retired.com. So I'm kind of the face of both companies in the public standpoint. So I do a lot of articles and a lot of public presentations for that is all about alternatives. But I'm qualifying these statements as on a personal level. With my own stuff and my children's stuff, it's very plain vanilla, and I'm a big Fidelity user. So I use youth accounts at Fidelity, UTMA accounts at Fidelity, options trading at Fidelity. So I know those as well. And I have an HSA at Fidelity, but we do not have an HSA product. Again, retirement accounts only. So I recognize that advanced people can use a health savings account. That's what it stands for the people that don't know, as a separate and additional retirement vehicle. But again, we only offer IRA accounts and don't really have a plan right now to offer HSAs. But I understand why the person who asked it is asking that, because it's a great tax advantage vehicle, maybe even better than an IRA, but not available to everyone. So forth, if that helps. Yeah, so just kind of wanted to talk about that. But I did want to steer people that, look, the Bitcoin IRA, is if you're getting started in crypto and you want to trade it directly, is a good platform for our side. I think of the major players, Fidelity is probably the best one, but really concentrated on just kind of owning Fidelity crypto, largest coins, and so forth. And right now, no capability for IRA. So I'm a big believer that you should invest in IRA and retirement accounts before you invest in like brokerage accounts. Let's see, is there a way to invest for me? So 401k money, I should talk about the hierarchy here. So your current 401k where you work and the one that you are getting money that's going to be taken out of your paycheck this Friday or last Friday or whenever you contribute to it is typically not able to be moved anywhere. But if you were to switch jobs, any old 401k you have is eligible to be moved to the new company 401k, at which point it's going to be limited to the options there, or it could be rolled to an IRA. So I showed the chart at the beginning that there's $14 trillion in IRAs. The investment company Institute data shows that there's actually only 8 trillion in 401ks. So once people leave an employer and they're eligible to move, that 401k could be rolled with the same tax treatment into an IRA. So right now there's a couple of providers out there who their 401k platform allows investing in crypto, but unless your company that you work for uses them, you wouldn't be able to do it. The more logical way would be that if you have an old 401k account or you switch jobs at some point now or in the future, then you can roll to an IRA that can then do crypto. So that's kind of answering that question there. So Fidelity's crypto, actually they do offer like direct crypto. It's somewhat limited, but again, it's a brokerage account, it's a taxable brokerage account. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I guess Mike, that was not a question. Mike just posted my LinkedIn page, but
Yeah, I think I found Harriet's article high quality. You guys read to tell us what's the downside. People maybe understand that the upside. What's the downside for crypto or alternative liquidity issue, right? Tell us what's the risk.
well, I don't know that there's a liquidity issue anymore in the major currencies in crypto. So that probably is a thing that's not gone away. I mean, Bitcoin itself I think it's a $3 trillion market cap. So, I mean, if you think about it, Bitcoin's now the size of Nvidia. So that's a very liquid stock. You wouldn't have any trouble selling Nvidia. So if you start to get to like, esoteric coins, which I don't purchase, I get pitched these things. I've never invested in any of them. But then again, I didn't make $100 million 3 days ago either. So maybe I'm the idiot. But I think the downside is that is there still a world where crypto is a very volatile asset, um, and may have a big like down draw? I mean, it could be, but that's the same with any investment. I mean, I would argue right now that after back-to-back 20% plus years in the S&P 500, it wouldn't surprise me at all that if this year we start out great and then end up at 0% return for the year, wouldn't surprise me if we end up another 20% up for the year, um, either. But if the average is supposed to be 10 in the long run for the S&P 500, there could very well be a negative 30% drop in the largest 500 publicly traded companies. And I would argue that that could happen just as easily in the alternative markets as well. And the only way you can offset that is two things. You can either really diversify yourself out, and stick to your investments when they go down, or you could avoid investing at all and just, keep your money in cash in the bank and maybe keep up with inflation. That's about it. I don't think option two is really a smart one long run. You'll never win. You'll never lose, but you actually will be guaranteed to never win either, if that makes sense. So I think the risk with all investments, crypto, private, I mean, I would argue right now that real estate is a very tangible investment, but we've all seen periods where real estate's really gone down, and you guys are in the Northern Virginia area right now. There was a proposal today that Donald Trump is considering selling maybe 2/3 of the government-owned real estate. That's a lot of real estate in the country, but it'll affect your area of the country a lot more. Values for buildings for any of you that own commercial investments. Yeah. Let's see. What are the mechanics of investing through these companies with self? Okay. So I know Yield Street. I remember when they started that company, Michael and Malin. So we have customers that do that. So inside of an IRA, when you're on a platform like Yield Street and you're indicating that you want to go into one of their particular deals, you would actually just, once you have an account created at Rocket Dollar, you would just be basically directing the investment documentation to the name of the IRA at Rocket Dollar. So in this case, it could be like, RDM LLC, for example, or RDM IRA uh, uh, for the benefit of Mike Nee, for example. You would just be putting that on the Yield Street online input form or the subscription agreement, depending on how you're making that investment. It's just the name of your IRA. You would direct that, and then the cash goes there. But yeah, I'm very familiar with Yield Street. We have. I didn't show this earlier because it wasn't really about me. I just wanted people to kind of learn about the capabilities of a self-directed IRA. But overall, our organization has about $11.2 billion in customer assets. So we have customers that have invested in pretty much like I think anything you could throw at us. We probably have someone that does it. People that ask me sometimes, you guys ask like very pointed questions, but sometimes people ask like, what are the weirdest things, like from my opinion? And since this is the Northern Virginia, group, so I live in Texas, so it's not so weird, but there's actually people that own cattle inside of their IRAs on our platform. So cows.
And if you kill the cow, barbecue, that's the early distribution, right? You pay 10% penalty.
I think so, yeah. I'm not really sure. Like, and then, I always say that like if you milk the cow, right, that's dividend producing because that kind of keeps going over and over again. But if you slaughter the cow, it's over. So, so
Yeah.
that's it.
Switch gear, Henry.
It's a growth stock versus a dividend stock.
That's funny. So Kavanova is nonprofit. Can nonprofit divert some of the cash into crypto accounts, get a better yield? What do you think? Or can you do that? Can you offer that?
Well, I mean, a nonprofit, remember, the accounts we offer are IRAs, so all of our customers are technically individuals.
Individual, no business. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, um, I do think right now, I mean, one of the things that I keep a pulse on, and people are asking about this, is I just got asked to weigh in on this in a Forbes contributor article, but will there be more private and alternative investments available to like retirement investors going forward? And you know, there's been studies that have been conducted that the public actually wants these things. And I think now we have an administration environment that might be more friendly to it. So, again, I'm not saying that Donald Trump will be more friendly to private investments, private equity, um, you know, just so friendly that it'll be available everywhere, and including crypto. But compared to the last administration, they are more friendly already just by virtue of what they're signaling. What they'll actually do is a whole different story, but the attitude is that just like here, you're like, you guys are asking me questions about can I own crypto in my 401k? But if I went to a different group, a different audience, they may say, I don't want anything to do with crypto ever. You know, like you guys aren't starting out with a negative bias towards the asset class as a whole, but another group might be. So, and I think that new administration is not starting with a negative bias. I think they're going to be a little more open to it. So that could bode well. But again, these investments are available inside of IRAs now, so that's existed for 50 years. It's just that a lot of people don't know that. I mean, Mike and I both met people that are practicing CPAs that don't know that you can own a house in an IRA. And these are tax professionals. It's just not known by everybody. That's just like the nature of things. If that sort of helps. I think that's the big thing. But you know, you can learn a lot. I mean, right now the retired.com is more of like an information hub. Um, but you know, an alternative investment capable IRA generally is rocketdollar.com. And then if you want to dabble even in a smaller amount, um, you know, you could explore the Bitcoin IRA. And I know on that side we're the biggest crypto only IRA. Um, I didn't invent that platform either. So, you know, you were asking about the fees. It's just like a 1% to 2% commission going in and out. So again, I would kind of time the trades, like when you do it. But the nice thing is for those of you that do trade crypto, and Mike, you probably trade crypto obviously outside of an IRA too. It's pretty tough to like work on like a tax report, you know, sort of like um, a spreadsheet when you need to turn it in to do your taxes if you're buying and selling crypto over the last few years. Inside of an IRA, you don't have to worry about it. The buying and selling in and out. So, although I've been mostly only a buyer. And we have customers, by the way, Mike. I saw we have customers that have bought Bitcoin in their Bitcoin IRA with us at like $100 Bitcoin, like super low cost basis. So they've done extremely well. We have 7-figure accounts that started with something like very small.
I just downloaded your 3 Forbes article from the ChatGPT, so share with
Oh,
people.
okay. All right.
I, you
Those are older ones.
yeah, 3 articles, the Forbes. Probably you can write your own books for cryptos. Do you want to write a book or something like that?
I don't, you know, what's funny is if I were to write a book, I would actually, you know, we talked about this right at the beginning with Yuyan, but if I were to write a book, I would actually be more interested in writing like a general, you know, personal finance book for maybe like children of immigrants, because I don't know, like I just feel like that, you know, my parents like never had the time in their life to really figure out the American system, you know. Um, And now that information is available, you know, but they came over in the 1970s, so you couldn't just look stuff up on the internet, much less like just ask ChatGPT. Yeah,
You,
then, and you
you
didn't
know,
know a lot.
Harry, you probably want to join us for the summertime. And Coach Mike has a workshop for the youth,
All right.
you know, mainly on the college planning and how to finance themselves. And I think, you know, your idea of teaching, you know, the children in terms of how to play this game, I think that would be something really interesting if you want to partner with us.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way, right? I mean, I know this stuff now, but in America, if your parents grew up here in America, you kind of
Oh,
have an idea. You hear about them talk about the mortgage on the house or like a
yeah,
credit card bill. But when you're a 15-year-old and your parents don't speak English because they only got to America, like right when you were born or after you were born, they have these things, but they have no way of explaining to you what those things are. It's kind of difficult, like it's a new system and it's like you don't have that knowledge.
y-
And then by the time, we always think that our kids need to go to college and that's where they'll learn that stuff, but they're not going to learn that stuff in college, right? They're going to learn something else when those
you,
kids learned it, it's like me, like after college, right? Like in the real
yeah.
world.
You are actually hitting the nail. This is why Cabanova wants to promote financial literacy in our community. And just like you said, a lot of this kind of, knowledge are not taught in the school. And what's kind of risky is a lot of people even have PhD degrees, they really have no clue how to manage their own financial, um, set of things, financial
Yeah,
side. And you never know when is the next, you know, the what you call it, the next job market crash, and you never know when you're gonna get fired, when you will never know, you may get divorced, and I mean there's all kinds of potential chaos that happens in
yeah,
life. But if you don't really know how to manage your own finance, you will always run into the risk. Doesn't matter what kind of college degree you have.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And it's funny to me. I mean, I look up to some of these like people that created these companies. I mean, Mike is too nice, like saying nice things about me, but I haven't done anything compared to some of these people. But I mean, this is good to know that this is a very Asian American focused. Obviously, it's Asian only group, and specifically Chinese. But I don't know if this audience knows this or not. But I've met both of them over the years at some point. But the founder of NerdWallet is a guy named Tim Chen, Asian American
okay.
guy, and I don't. I'll tell you about him. Uh, so he started NerdWallet because he, was a typical Asian American kid whose parents like, wanted him to go to school, ends up like studying finance and getting a job as an analyst at a Wall Street firm. And then 2008 happened, so everyone got laid off that did what he did. So he had friends that were also Asian that were asking him questions about like, well, you're the one that works out of us that works on Wall Street. My parents made me get into like being a lawyer or a doctor, right? So or medicine, because Asian parents push them to that. I don't know anything about like how to get like a mortgage and stuff. So he started writing articles in 2000 after 2008, and it became NerdWallet, by the way. So that's founded by an Asian American like kid who was just like helping out his friends who were also kids of Asian American parents or Asian parents, not Asian American. And then the founder of Credit Karma, I don't know if people know this either. His name is Ken Lim, and he sold Credit Karma for $8 billion to Intuit. Um, and he started that from zero. And just obviously Credit Karma became the way people started understanding like an easier way to access their credit score without paying. Um, and it became a multi-billion-dollar business. Again, founded by a kid whose parents were not born in America and so forth. So I just thought these are amazing stories that those two companies have helped millions of all Americans, right, of all types, with their finances. But they didn't even have parents who like grew up in this country to know about these things.
So, Henry, as a personal question, you have two daughters. What kind of financial wisdom you teach them so they can be starting early on, early compounding?
So my right now my younger one, my 8-year-old, is kind of the spender, right? So she's not a good example. So yeah, but the 14-year-old is really good. So for those of you, people talked about Fidelity. I was one of the first, maybe like a few hundred people in the country because I had a friend working inside of Fidelity to open up one of their youth accounts. So Fidelity's the provider that once a kid turns 13, they can have a brokerage account. So this is not IRA stuff. This is like what my daughter does. Um, but it's in their name. So most of us will open up a 529 for college savings, and we'll open up a UGMA or UTMA, a uniform transfer to minors or a uniform gift to minors, depending on the state you're in. You use one or the other, but that's technically in our name until the kid reaches either 18 or 21, and then it legally becomes theirs. The Fidelity one at 13 is pretty slick. It's in their name at the age of 13, so it's not my account, it's her account. Um, and it comes with a debit card, and every time she uses the debit card, she actually gets a nickel back. But the wisdom that I've been imparting on her is maybe a little bit even more extreme than I think what all of us are able to do. But she gets her allowance, and she has it programmed to 75% of her allowance goes into index funds, and then she keeps 25% for spending on the debit card. So she's, without trying, and she doesn't know the term, she's like one of those FIRE people, the financial independents retire early because they're saving 50% or more of their salary. And right now, if my daughter were here in the room, she would say that, yeah, like, it sucks to like work after the age of 45. So her goal is to see like, hey, graduate, save 50% of your income and see if she could like make passive income from investments only to sustain a lifestyle um, before the age of 50 and maybe before 40. I mean, remember, she's a 14-year-old girl, so she thinks like anyone over 35 is like super old already. So, but that's the big one on her. So she is deathly afraid of debt. So she's probably one of these people that will, um, I'm not even sure that she might like do a mortgage one day. She seems like the type that might try to pump out like saving cash, but that's her thing. So she's set on that. And at 14, what's really funny is she goes to a summer camp in Colorado every year, and the camp counselors are college students. So they actually ask her questions about IRAs, like Roth IRAs and stuff. And these are like 20-year-old kids that don't
That's
know anything.
funny. That is
Yeah, like,
funny.
yeah, she's known for being like that person that knows that
That's really
information.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you,
And I
you,
don't
you know,
force it on her either. She just kind of does it. So this is just her thing. She knows I'm into it, but it's not me that talks to her about it. Yeah.
my girl,
So.
but for you, doesn't know. Yeah.
It's only blame you, Snow. You don't want it. No, I'm joking. Don't worry. Okay, but so
Well, we're gonna have to hold
yeah,
more,
Henry,
this kind of
just
sessions. Yeah.
we we have a nonprofit here in DC. I'm accountant. I really want to help your community. If anything, you guys have questions, I'm willing to give a workshop, talk about different things. And at the same
Yeah.
time, in the summer, I'm opening Smart Finance for Smart Youth program. Maybe I invite you to talk about 30 minutes. Just replicate your success story with your daughter. I think all the benefits will come to the generations of our community. I really appreciate you can accept our offer, invite.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let me know. Like I actually want to get out to DC, so I
Oh, yeah,
lived there
please.
for 1 year in
Oh,
college, so
please.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Well, yeah, welcome,
mhm.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
Yeah.
I
I'm
haven't.
busy working, so you may not see me, but
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
you know what, Mike and also Henry, since at beginning of the this session, we only have like 4 or 5 people said they had self-directed RA. Do you guys mind just give the rest of the audience a little bit idea what's this self-directed RA? What is the difference between this versus Rose RA or traditional RA, and how to set it up? And apparently only this is self-directed RA has the advantage to invest in crypto coin, not the other, not every others, right?
yeah, and it's not a good term, by the way, because when you go to the websites for traditional financial services, a lot of them actually define a self-directed IRA as an IRA where you make the investment choices inside of them, even if they're public investments. So, and it's a little confusing, okay? So, um, because they want you to hire someone on their side to manage it so they could do an ongoing management fee and pick the investments for you. And then they say at Citi's investment platform, they'll say, oh, if you want to pick your stocks and stuff, it's a self-directed one. But the technical definition of a self-directed IRA is really, really simple. It's just an IRA that allows people to make private and alternative investments. And the person asked about the Yield Street investment earlier. Well, how do you do that? Because you don't just go to the website at Rocket Dollar and invest in Yield Street. It's when you find the private investment you want to do and you have a Rocket Dollar or another company's self-directed IRA, one of our competitors, you would basically be filling out the form to make the investment with the name of the IRA at Rocket Dollar or whatever provider. So again, this is maybe a different thing, and some people won't understand on this call. But when you're making a private investment, it's usually like a paper-based investment with a subscription agreement. Like you're investing in a private company, for example, and you're investing on these terms. Here's the term sheet. You're committing $100,000 to this deal as an angel investor. Well, that subscription agreement, instead of filling it out as Mike Nee, you would fill it out as Rocket Dollar IRA for the benefit of Mike Nee, because that's the entity that's making the investment and so forth. But the easy difference is just that a self-directed IRA is just, instead of regular stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, same tax treatment, but can buy private and alternative investments. And then whatever type of IRA you have is available with us, just like it would be with any platform. So whether that's a Roth or a simple or a SEP or a traditional.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that helps.
Great.
Okay.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah, okay. So I saw someone put the homepage for retired.com.
Yeah, so people can log in and set up a consult
Yeah,
with
yeah.
your team.
Yeah.
I think you lead a very good team because the people I talk with, they are very responsive, meaning they respond very quick. Christopher, I think, talked to me a few times. Oh, talk about compliance, because in the traditional world, these guys file all the Department of Labor 5500 easy, all the things. You, as a custodian, you're responsible for that, right? For the compliance work, the reporting.
Yeah, so we do the IRA reporting. You're kind of dipping a little bit into the 401k side, so I was staying
Right.
a little bit away from that because that's not going to be relevant for all the people here. But yeah, there's different filing requirements if you have a solo 401k. But yeah, part of the service that we provide is to, kind of do the reporting for you. That's what you're paying us for. So
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. But I mean, to be fair, we're in January now, so all of us are about to get our tax forms from everybody, our mortgage providers, our banks, our investment companies. They should all start coming in your email here over the next few weeks, if you haven't gotten some already.
Yeah.
So that's a requirement of every institution here in the U.S. But either way, I think for me, I think that if you're looking at the alternative investment space, then you should maybe consider looking at it through a vehicle like a self-directed IRA, because it's probably where a lot of the accumulated money is. I mean, that's the other thing about America too. More people have more money in these accounts, IRAs, 401ks, than they actually do just sitting around in a brokerage account or a bank account. If that makes sense. So
Yeah. I see
because
so
you
many
can,
dumb stories, so many dumb stories. People put cash waiting, they only get 3 basis points yield, right? You see just so bad.
yeah.
Company, they just make money, the cash sweep out your money, you get a peanut. They get 90% of the yield. So bad.
Right. Yeah. So if you're going to do alternative and private investments or just investments in general, you should consider using these vehicles first, like your company 401k. I mean, there's an easy rule of thumb, and this has nothing to do with self-directed IRAs, but you asked me earlier about what do you impart on the knowledge to people, just basic personal finance stuff. It's that you should invest in your 401k at your current employer up to the match, then probably switch over to a Roth, and then go back to the 401k, because the 401k allows you to do, $21,000. So, or sorry, 23,000 this year. I'm stuck in 2023, but so I'm having trouble even remembering it's 2025. I keep going back to 23 numbers all the time.
All right. Yeah, we're almost at the end of the session, and I think there's just one more question in the chat.
I think that's kind of related maybe to like, you know, how often should you like reallocate?
Mhm.
I mean, so you can't really do that too well in a self-directed IRA with just one or two private investments, but if it's like a general investment account, um, so I always give the same answer I always give on that, which is if you have a set allocation, like you want to be this much in stocks and bond versus bonds, or this much in, I don't know, large cap versus small cap, depending on how complex it is, you should reallocate only once a year, but not at the end of the year. Like, don't pick some day like January 1st. Like, pick some random day like your birthday, provided your birthday isn't December 31st or January 1st. I guess I should probably say, but because then you'll remember to do it. You know.
All
So
right.
that's kind of my thought. So because you don't want to do it too much, but you also don't want to do it at some very logical time, like right at before the end of the calendar year either. So that's my rule of thumb.
Nice. All right. Well, we are 3 minutes past our hours already, and I just want to say thank you, Henry, for the wonderful talk, and
Yeah.
we really appreciate your time and knowledge, and certainly really look forward to have you back during
Yeah.
the summertime, and work with Mike on the the workshop for our students. And just want to let you know, actually, we have, like I said at the beginning, this financial literacy workshop is once a month. And most of them are actually going to be in English. And if you are interested, sharing this, education sessions, again, this is all free. Please feel free, to reach out to Coach Mike and get information and maybe distribute it to your community and just try to get more people to benefit. And same with the workshop in the summer. And any students who are interested, we are welcome. So anyway, that's all I want to say. Coach Mike, do you want to have the close remark?
No, that's good. Thank you so
Okay.
much. We are so grateful for Henry helping us open a new door, more opportunities. Keep learning, have a growth mindset, right? Steve Jobs, right? Stay hungry. You have to stay hungry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stay hungry, stay foolish. Yeah, keep
Exactly.
learning. All
Exactly.
right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
All
you,
right. Have a good
Good
night.
everyone.
night.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.